Hi everyone, in this framer tutorial we're going to create this great card flip effect with some 3D depth animations. As we scroll, our card gets flipped and the icon and the content stacks take their places with some 3D depth animations, which creates this visually appealing animation. So let's get started. In our starter file we have the hero section and the card wrapper that includes a sticky positioned card outer stack with full width and 100% viewport height. And inside of it we have this card stack that includes the card inner one stack that we're going to animate, which has the content of the card, as you see, icon and content. Since it is the stack that we're going to animate, I've added some transform properties to it, as you see, like 3D rotate, depth, perspective, backface, preserve, etc. By the way, I use the cards that can be found under insert menu, then changed their designs and created 2 more cards with the content that I've generated with ChatGPT. In cards wrapper we also have an empty trigger stack with again full width and viewport height, which we're going to use as trigger section in the scroll variant effect of the card component. And we have this sample section that follows the sticky cards for a better demonstration. Let's start by making the card stack a component. We can see the first card's content is in card inner one stack. We're gonna place the content of all cards on top of each other and flip the card to make the next one visible. While doing so, we will use some 3D depth differences to make the animation more interesting. Before duplicating inner stack to create the second card, I will make variant ones with 390, since we don't need it to be full width. Then I will duplicate card inner 1, name it card inner 2, make its icon design services. It's titled easy, and I'm gonna paste its text. Since we added balance property and set it to yes under the text properties, notice how Framer balances the text in 2 lines. It's a great feature, right? Since we need the first card to be visible and second one to be flipped and invisible in this variant, I will make card inner 2's Y rotation -180. Now we can duplicate this variant to create variant 2 and drag it up a little to make some space for an extra variant, since we're gonna use again the technique of using an in-between animation and making a transition to another variant with a delay trick in scroll variant effect that we're going to add to the card component. We need an extra variant, right? Since this is gonna be the first variant that we're gonna make transition to, in this variant I'm gonna make card inner 2's X rotation 40 degrees to tilt it a little. Of course I need to make its Y rotation 0 to make it flipped and visible. And for 3D depth animation I will select icon stack and make its depth 500 and contents 300. Of course, to create the flip effect, we also need to make card inner one's X rotation 40 and Y 180. Again, for card inner 1 in variant 2, I need to also make icon stacks depth 500 and contents 300 to create a 3D depth while transitioning to variant 1. Then I will duplicate variant 2, name it variant 22, and make card inner 2's X rotation 0. And icon and content stacks depth 0 to take it back to its original state. Then I will drag it under variant 2 and drag a connection from variant 2 to the last one, and I'm gonna make trigger appear and delay 0.5 seconds. Then I will click spring next to transition and make time to bounce 0. I'm gonna make the same for variant 1 to keep the animation consistent. Now we can go back to home screen, add a scroll section to trigger, rename it to keep it aligned with the variant number. Now we can add scroll variant effects to our card component, right? The trigger is gonna be section and view, report is gonna be center, section is gonna be 2, and variant is gonna be 2. Let's test it. And our animation works, but looks like sticky section scrolls up too soon. So we need to add a buffer or static trigger to the bottom to keep it on screen a little longer, like we did in the last tutorial, which I'll put the link in the description for and probably put a card. So I will duplicate the trigger and delete its scroll section to have the static buffer section. Let's view our animation again. And when we scroll down slowly, we can see our animation works perfectly, right? Keeping the card on the screen for longer. Now we can go back to card component screen and create the third card in variant 1 to keep its values consistent in all variants before creating the third variant. So in the first variant, I will duplicate card inner 2, name it card inner 3. Change its icon to sync alt, its title to flexible, and change its text. And of course in variant 2 and 2.2 I will select card inner 3 and make its Y rotation -180 to hide it in those variants. Now I can duplicate variant 2.2 and name it variant 3 and drag it up. In variant 3 I will select all card inner stacks and enter 40 for their X rotation. Then I will select card inner 2 and make its Y rotation 180 and card inner 3's Y rotation 0. And lastly, make icons depth 500, as we did in previous variants, and contents 300. Next, I will duplicate variant 3, name it variant 3.2, select all card inner stacks, and enter 0 for their X rotation. Under card inner 3, make icon and content stacks depth 0. Now I can easily drag V32 under the third variant and drag a connection from variant 3 to the last one and make the required changes in the transition, right? I will repeat the process of duplicate and create a new card once more to create the last card and its variants. Now we can go back to home screen, create new triggers and variants in the scroll variant effect, right? First, I will duplicate the trigger I have and make its scroll section 3. Duplicate it once more and make its scroll section 4. Then I will start adding new sections under card components scroll variant effect. So section 3 for variant 3. And so on. Let's test the effect. And as I see it, we can add one extra buffer section for also to the top of our triggers, right? Since when we scroll up, we can't see the first variant comfortably. So I will select the first trigger that follows our card and duplicate it. Select the one at top and delete its scroll section. Let's preview again. And as I see it, when we scroll up, we can see the variant 1 is visible for a longer period and we can see it comfortably, right? I hope you liked the tutorial. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe, turn the notifications on, check my other tutorials, and see you in the next one.